This man wearing a t-shirt said Virginia is for lovers. With a Bible in his left hand and a bottle in the other. Oh, little Kachas on this beautiful day. Get along down the road. All right. Hope you guys are all having a good afternoon. Um, wanted to kind of I wanted to start off with today's lecture on the Northwest Ordinance. Now, ideally in class, we'd do something fun with this, with a lot of like a class simulation. But everything going on, don't know if having the desks close together or passing papers along. So, unfortunately, that's kind of where we're at right now. So anyway, one of your assignments was going to be to do an ed puzzle. You had to answer some questions on the ed puzzle. So this lecture is just kind of is just a supplement, making sure that we kind of hit all the, key points, key parts to it. So let me know if you have any questions. We'll help supplement you guys with the Google form you guys will need to fill out for the exit ticket. So anyway, you see the Northwest Ordinance. You see these states here. Obviously, this is what we're talking about: Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, and that state up north that we don't talk about in Mr. Meyer's class. Those were the 5 states that were really a part of it. That started off the expansion of the United States. All right, so what is the Northwest Ordinance? Northwest Territory. It's a designated area of land that includes the states, as I mentioned before. And Minnesota, I guess, was a part of it as well, and the upper peninsula up there. So that's what the Northwest Territory was. And I'll get to here in a minute, in terms of some of the history behind it and kind of how it opened up. But our region here in Ohio, we were once part of the Northwest Territory. That we were the first states to really be added in, after 13 colonies. All right, so what happened? The Treaty of Paris was signed between the United States and Great Britain in 1783. So ultimately, what does that mean? Great Britain lost the war, the American Revolution. We gained our independence. Yeah, woo! All right. So the cool thing about it is that yes, we won the 13 colonies, but Britain had a bunch of land as well that extended to the Mississippi River. So you see my map over here, cursor right there. All this land over here will still belong to Great Britain. But at this point, they lost the war. It's expensive, and what are they going to do with this land? Especially if the United States own this, they can't really get there. So essentially, they just give it up. So as a part of the Treaty of Paris, they forfeited all of this land. So the $1 million question is, well, what do we do with it? What does the first government do with it? So basically, guys, it started off as basically a land grab, meaning that you had the 13 original states basically started to make claims for all this new territory. So you see right here in this map, and it's kind of hard to see, but you kind of zoom in a little bit. Virginia, look where it starts. This is where it starts today. But look where it ends. It ends at the Mississippi River. So all this was once all claimed by Virginia. North Carolina, same thing. North Carolina goes right about there. But look what happened when it first opened up. There was no Tennessee. They claimed all of this land here to, again, the Mississippi River. Georgia, same thing. They extended a big chunk of land where they laid claim to it as well. So you can kind of see that. Oh, here's Virginia up here again, way up and through here. So the powerful states at the time, Virginia and Carolina, are going to lay claim to a lot of this territory. So as you can see the map. So what problem does this pose for future United States? Poses you have these big states, now you have versus these little teeny states that aren't expanding. So you could potentially see a problem between large state, big state. So that might start some early issues. So keep that in mind here for a second. So here's the solution. Thomas Jefferson, he kind of saw the writing on the wall and the problems that were going to arise out of this. So he wanted to see the land become new and separate states where slavery will not exist after 1800. So that was a key part too. After 1800, slavery would not exist in these new lands. But two, take all that land that was taken by Virginia and Carolina to prevent a fight from happening between big state and small state and a bunch of inner arguing amongst our country. Which was the thing about that was the last thing our country needed was arguing when we're starting to form our new country. Anyway, he believed that all those new areas should just become new states. Let's forget the problem. Let's become just a new state. Let's create new states. So Congress are going to meet. They're going to pass it. The Land Ordinance of 1785, where they're going to establish the Northwest Territory in the form of a political system. Land will be sold at auction. Think about, why would you have sell land at auction? What is that going to generate? Hopefully you think about that. What is land going to generate if you're selling it for auction? It's going to generate money. Think about, our first government is going to need lots of money. We borrowed money from France to fight against Great Britain in the Revolutionary War. We have debt we need to pay off. We need to raise money for an army. We need to raise money for all these different types of things. Um, so that's going to be the benefit of this land ordinance. So what was solved? So since Congress could not tax the citizens, again, think about that in the Articles of Federation. We talked about that. Articles couldn't tax. So this is the next best thing, is that by auction, you now can raise and generate money to pay off some of your debts. All right, my apologies for the hiccup there. My daughter was yelling at me, "Daddy, come wipe my butt." So for all you young kiddos out there, enjoy your adolescence and young adulthood as best as you can, because that's going to be your future in the next 15 to 20 years. Mommy, Daddy, come wipe my tushy. All right. So anyway, since Congress could not tax, as we talked about under the Articles, the early government under the Articles, they had a hard time raising money. States were not giving their fair share. They could request money, they didn't have to give it. So they had bills to pay. So by this land auction that was going to be created, by raising this money by selling off this land, that would benefit the government by solving our greatest problem, which was debt and raising money. Okay, where's this at? There we go. All right. All right, there we go. What the heck's going on here? All right, here we go. United States government was unable to pay most veterans of the American Revolution, so that's another problem. Not just we owed money to France, but also to our soldiers. Think of Daniel Shea. You guys just did that on Ed Puzzle. There were many soldiers that they were struggling to pay them. The value of the Continental banknotes, our first money, dropped, so they basically become worthless. So to repay the veterans, Congress offered them land in the Northwest Territory. So you can either pay the veterans with money or just give them what's even more valuable than money: land at the time, land owning. That was a big, big, big deal back then. You had to own land for the most part in order to vote. So that carried a lot of weight. All right, so the Northwest Ordinance, this became a law that established the Northwest Territory and formed a political system for the region. It provided process for territory. So how can you become a territory? So Northwest Territory, how did those areas become a state? Well, you guys did this in your ed puzzle. I'm not going to beat you to death with it, but if you look here, when the territory reaches 5,000 free men, 3,000 adult males, they can elect a state legislature. So once you get 5,000 adult males, they can elect a legislator to run their state governments. So finally, when the territory reaches 60,000 people, they can draft a state constitution now that can apply to Congress to become a state. Stipulation: no slavery allowed in these states, and you get fair trials. So those were the two key things, and you kind of see the whole slavery issue kind of being talked about here. Um, Again, slavery is going to be in existence until the 1860s. So for the next 80 something years, slavery is going to exist. So they start kind of tackling that question here, trying to stop the spread of it. So my little graphic here: the Northwest Territory, how was it divided? The Northwest Territory lands were surveyed and divided up into something called townships. So you see this little box right here, that is number 16, I believe. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 16. Now this, if you look at this here, this is the zoomed in view of it. They break it off into 36 sections. So this little township here, they'll break off into 36 blocks, basically. Now, in each block, so if you would do 15, this would be the exact same thing. They break it off into 36 sections. 6 sections going across, 6 sections going down. Now, here was the stipulation. I believe it's number 15 in each. I'm sorry, 16 in each township is going to be the school. So all schools will be formed during this time. Thank you, the Enlightenment thinkers, spreading knowledge to new areas. Learning is important. So here's more of another zoomed in view of that, just kind of so you can easily talk about it. So 31 sections. 31 sections were up for auction. That means 5 were left over for public use. So again, the school. One section would be the school, and the other 4 would be reserved for veterans of the Revolutionary War. So the auction often set off at $1, and eventually you bid and you raise it up. So there you go. So anyway, that's kind of the game we're gonna do. So you see this here. So 16 is the school, 8, 11, 29, and 26 are for the veterans. So that's what every township was the exact same grid as this. Make it consistent. 16 was the school, and those other 4 were left with the veterans. Okay. So anyway, that is my I wanted to make one of these just to make it clear, in case there were any questions on the ad puzzle, you weren't sure of something. So again, make sure that you guys are doing the Google form. And yeah, hope you guys are having a good day.